Mayor and Council, good evening. I'm Linda Green at Century Street. There are numerous reasons why I believe this is the wrong development in the wrong location. The sheer size of the development is reminiscent of a big city. Have any of you looked at the 6-story addition to the Lakeside Hotel in Penticton? I think most residents and people looking to relocate here like Summerland's small town atmosphere and sense of community. 6-story buildings do not belong in a neighborhood of single-family dwellings. This is not a seniors' residence, but a commercial condo development. Regarding freshwater fisheries concerns about Shaughnessy Springs Aquifer, LARC has mitigation procedures in place and will stop construction until the turbidity in the water returns to acceptable levels. However, if construction resumes and causes further turbidity, how will they be able to continue to build? This is a 3 to 7 year project. If construction is continually halted, it may end up being a much longer process. What will happen if construction needs to be suspended for extended periods of time? Will LARC abandon the development and leave Summerland with a half-finished project and no hope of reverting back to the current state of the land? At the January 9th, 2016 open house, LARC said they had a waiting list of 7,000 people wanting to move into ICASA. Are these individuals waiting to move into an assisted living residence, or are they looking for summer condos or investment property? Should such a list exist, that means we would increase our population significantly. Mayor Waterman emphasizes the benefits of increased tax revenue, but has also indicated that for every tax dollar we generate, $1.20 is required to maintain infrastructure. With more people traveling our roads and using our amenities, the lifespan of our facilities will be diminished. So I don't see the benefit of such a large influx of new residents. The market value condos are being built first in order to finance the assisted living and memory units. Yet LARC themselves state that Summerland is in need of more seniors assisted living units now. In 7 years, their 100 units will still not satisfy the needs of seniors in Summerland. Also, these will be private pay beds, and there are already private pay beds not being utilized at Summerland Seniors Village because they are not affordable for most seniors living on fixed incomes. What Summerland and the rest of BC needs are funded beds for low-income seniors. Care provided to all residents of ICASA will not be provided by doctors available in the community as originally stated by LARC, but by local care providers and teleconferences with doctors elsewhere. From personal experience, I know that telephone diagnoses are not reliable. St. Elizabeth will be providing care to residents of the development and our community. Again, this will be fee-for-service, which will be beyond the means of many seniors. Government subsidies are necessary in order to make home care affordable for those on limited incomes. ICASA's location is in an isolated bowl surrounded by clay cliffs, which are subject to slides, sloughing, and sinkholes, all of which happen with some regularity in Summerland. The geological reports state that the surrounding cliffs are generally stable. However, there was a huge slide along Highway 97 near Antlers Beach in January last year, which took 6 months to clean up and stabilize. During construction, there will be significant vibration due to the actual construction and to the large trucks going in and out along Solly and Latimer roads. When Tuscan Terrace was being built, our house and many others in the neighborhood were bombarded with house-rattling truck traffic for years. While it is impossible to prove, some houses that had stood for 20+ years with no geological shifting were faced with cracks appearing in their walls during Tuscan Terrace construction. Are there plans in place to resolve such issues during construction of ICASA? Would council members appreciate such events occurring in their residences? LARC is planning to provide a restaurant, theater, pharmacy, and other amenities within the development, so it is doubtful Summerland merchants will see an increase in business, a significant increase in business. Residents venturing into town will have to navigate up steep hilly terrain for 3 kilometers. This is not a walker-friendly neighborhood, especially for seniors. The last issue I want to address is the possibility of legal action against Summerland, the council, and/or the trout hatchery if approval for this project is not given. Has the developer received any assurances that their application is a done deal, as Mayor Waterman is reported to have said prior to January 2016? Will they be looking for someone to sue, as Kyle Gergen reports he was told? I know Lark has refuted that statement being made, but I prefer to believe a long-term member of our community over a developer who is out to make money at all costs. I also get the feeling that we are once again being told that we just don't understand, and if we knew more, we would be convinced of the appropriateness of this development. Thank you.
Hello, Mayor and Council. My name is Terry Van Limbeck. I live at 14210 Bristol Road, north of Solly. My husband and I cannot see the site of the proposed development, but we are not in favor of it. We followed the meetings, the reports that have been presented by experts on why and why not these developments should or should not proceed. Our opinion, after all these months of fact-finding, is that the mayor and council seem more concerned about the potential monetary benefits from this project and less concerned about the negative impact in many areas. My husband and I have no expertise in any of the factors that can affect the land in question, but as a 20-year resident, I feel I can speak against this development because of the OCP. This project goes against the whole feeling of the OCP, and I will not take time to go through the plan section by section. I assume, as councillors, you are very familiar with this plan. It's obvious that the bank's Crescent development does not conform. A lot of time and hard work went into creating this plan. It's no good to tweak it to accommodate anything that does not meet with the plan. Tweaking is basically saying that the council and the people who worked so hard and approved the OCP were wrong. The OCP is there to protect Summerland and retain the sense of the community that we have. There are other sites available around town, even just outside of town, with great lake views. We would welcome this development there or somewhere else in town. Please consider the OCP very carefully when you make your decision and vote no to the plan. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, councillors, and hearing attendees. My name is Wendy Dion, and I live at 7125 P. Churchard Road. I have many concerns regarding this project. My main concerns are the density and the proposed location of this massive project. With over 400 units, this is definitely high density, but the OCP designates this lower town area as agricultural or medium density. I'm sure the writers of the OCP didn't even fathom that a development like this with 6 stories above ground and 3 stories below ground would be proposing to build there. The infrastructure has not been planned for this project, nor can it be rectified. There just isn't enough room on those roads for this population and the traffic it'll generate. I'm sorry, I'm really nervous. I am also against any development that puts the fish hatcheries at risk. Coming from an accounting background, I have looked for a cost-benefit analysis and have not found one. I also expected that I would find a risk mitigation analysis report, but I haven't seen that either. It worries me that such a massive project in this sensitive location puts the district and taxpayers at risk should any litigation occur for any reason. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I am opposed to the bank's Crescent development proposal. My name is David Kortlanch. I live at 14009 Latimer Avenue. That's 2 houses south of Solly on the route to Banks Crescent. And from a personal perspective, this development will severely impact my quality of life and enjoyment of my property. My front door and my sun deck are about 10 meters away and wide open to Latimer Avenue. With the current traffic of about 50 cars a day, that's quite acceptable. With the proposed increase of traffic by 40 times, not twice as much traffic, not 4 times as much traffic, but 40 times as much traffic to 2,000 cars a day, my peace and quiet and calm that we all look forward to at the end of the day will disappear for me. I will significantly lose my quality of life and the enjoyment of my property. I'd like to ask each of you to think about this when you go home tonight. Imagine the street that your house is on with 40 times as much traffic on it. Would you be willing to accept that? When I moved to Summerland, I was attracted by a slogan at the time describing Summerland as a rural agricultural community, and it was clearly made to set Summerland apart from more development-centric communities such as Penticton and West Kelowna. My wife and I looked at many houses and narrowed our choices down to 3. To help make a final decision, we looked not just at the neighborhoods in their current state, but we looked at the official community plan to understand the future growth intentions of the neighborhoods. We used the vision of the official community plan to guide our house buying decision. I was reassured by that plan that indicated a moderate amount of infill growth for the Lower Town neighborhood, mostly focused in the Lakeshore area, with the current vineyard property at the end of Latimer planned for continued agricultural or low-density residential. Now I'm feeling more than a little misled. Communities need to grow through planned evolution. A house comes down, 2 replace it. Gatehouses and laneway houses create infill, all at a pace that the residents of the community can keep up with. To guide this process, we have the official community plan that this mayor and council have adopted. The official community plan provides a long-term vision of growth, going into great detail, assembled by a wide-ranging group of talented people, and intended to provide guidelines that extend well beyond a 4-year political cycle. To allow this proposal, which does not align with the official community plan in so many ways, is an affront to all the Summerland citizens who are creators and supporters of that plan. From a community perspective, this development creates a real risk to Summerland taxpayers. For example, the developers have offered $1 million for road upgrades. And it's worth noting, and has already been noted, that it costs $2 million to upgrade the road directly in front of the Summerland waterfront resort. So with all the Solly from Highway 7 to Lakeshore needing upgrading, as well as Latimer from Solly to Banks, that $1 million is not going to go very far. And the taxpayers are going to be left to cover the remaining multi-million-dollar costs. Well, speaking of road upgrades, it's worth noting that during the recent snowfall, some of my neighbors on Latimer parked their cars on the road as their driveways are too steep to navigate in the snow and ice. My driveway is a short, steep hop up onto Latimer. To get into my driveway, I back in, so that when I leave my house, I don't have to blindly back up that hop onto Latimer. Backing in does require a little do-si-doing around, but with the current volume of traffic, it's manageable. As the traffic increases, I'm not going to be able to use my driveway. It's also worth mentioning that Latimer Avenue in front of my house tends to flood significantly a couple of times a year. A couple of times in recent history, overflowing my driveway and threatening to flood my house. If I wasn't at home at the time and clearing the drains on the street, that's what would have happened. I can't imagine how I'm going to be able to keep the drains on Latimer Avenue clear with 2,000 cars a day whizzing past. I'll get run over. But I am sure that a road that floods out a couple of times a year is not suitable to be the only access to a massive facility such as this proposal encompasses. This flooding issue was brought up at the question and answer session a few months ago, but no follow-up has been seen, despite an indication at the time that local residents needed to be engaged in these types of issues. Instead, we seem to have been ignored. So in closing, here we are at a public hearing, and I hope you have been hearing for the last 18 months or more. Over 3,000 signatures and hundreds of letters opposing this development. At what point does it make sense for mayor and council to ignore the quality of life and desires of a large group of current residents, taxpayers, and voters to try and attract and accommodate new residents? I feel like this is my one and only chance to stand up and defend my property before I get chucked under the bus to clear the way for this massive development. Councillors, you might have a day or two left before your next vote on this proposal. I strongly recommend you take that opportunity to actually visit the Latimer and Solly area. Walk around, imagine destruction to the neighborhood that this development will cause. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Stephanie Ert. I live at 10218 Happy Valley Road. I was born and raised in Summerland, as was my mom, and tonight I'm speaking on behalf of both myself and my parents, Larry and Donnie Young, who are currently out of town. Mayor Waterman and members of council, you were elected on your concern for agriculture, your philosophy for our town, and your statements that you will listen to the citizens. You are being asked to make a decision on a massive development that will change the zoning of the Banks Crescent property from agriculture to the extreme opposite in order to accommodate a massive complex. This could completely change the face of Summerland, affect future development in our town, and it would definitely change the integrity of what we all love about our small town. The official community plan says that residential neighborhoods are to be preserved, protected, and enhanced, and that developments are to be compatible with the surrounding area. This is in no way compatible. It has been interesting to view your concern about the Nixon and Wharf Street rezoning and about Lighthouse Landing. Public comments included the increase in traffic, the lots are too small, too dense, and not in line with the long-standing character of their neighborhood. Councillor Peake commented that the public has strong concerns on how these 21 lots would blend with the community that is already there. Councillor Barkwell was also concerned about pedestrian safety. Councillor Carlson commented on the need to respect the people who live there and have lived there a long time. She stated that it is important to develop in a way that is respectful to the people who live there. She said council has the responsibility to make sure they are respecting what the neighbors are going to be living with for the next 50 years. Councillor Boot said it was not appropriate for the neighborhood. Councillor Holmes's concerns were with compatibility. Councillor Traynor stated that the development should go along with the neighborhood. So how do these compare? Lighthouse Landing is only 33 lots. Nixon Road is 21 lots. ICASA will be 425 units with amenities, recreation, restaurant and services. All of this will be on a smaller building area than Lighthouse Landing and in the middle of a single-family residential neighborhood. The lots in Trout Creek will be accessed by 3 roads, Britton, Wharf, and Nixon. ICASA will be accessed by only one small, narrow road. You will be changing the roads that meander through our neighborhood to truck routes to service this development. This will forever change the lives of everyone from the highway to Lakeshore Drive. Traffic will increase to over 3,300 vehicles per day, creating a huge potential for accidents. As a teenager, I had an accident on the corner of Bristol and Solly Road. If you find the Trout Creek developments too dense, surely you can see that ICASA is definitely too large for this location. It does not preserve, protect, or enhance the area. The residents of our hillside neighborhoods are just as worthy of your concern as those in Trout Creek. Regarding the height of the development, please refer to the architect renderings for the complex. Future growth of this property is designated to be 3 stories. For some reason, there are no drawings showing the complete development, but if you were to have one in front of you, you would see that it is 10 stories in height. Building D has 3 stories, and above that is Building C with 7. There are in total 10 levels. It's a massive, massive building. Regarding the red zone, there are existing homes above the bowl shape of this property, and yet there have been no soil stability tests done on the red zone areas. Why have these silt and clay areas not been tested for the potential of slides and damage to existing homes? 2017 was one of Summerland's busiest years for building and development, and we still have lots of opportunity to make us a progressive town. ICASA is not our only option. So please listen to the Agriculture Advisory Committee, the Fish Hatchery and Advisory Planning Commission, and the people from all areas of Summerland. Protect the fish hatchery as all previous council has done, and do not vote for these changes. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Dominic Ramponi, and I live at 595 Leonard Crescent in Kelowna. I'd just like to compliment the staff and the mayor and council on the way that this public hearing has been conducted. I go to a lot of public hearings up and down the valley. This has by far been the most professionally run public hearing, with even the way that the citizens in the crowd have conducted themselves. So I applaud you on that. Our family's been in the valley since 1893, and I have served on a number of Chamber of Commerce boards across Western Canada and a vast number of municipal task forces. Since 1980, we've had family members in facilities like the one that's proposed, and man, oh man, I tell you, it's been awesome. We've had very good experiences, and what we've noticed in the communities that they've been in is facilities like this have added vibrance to the community with all the amenities are there. So yes, I'm in favor of this facility because I think when I've seen it, the good things that have happened to our family members in facilities like this, it's been very well needed. Thank you.
Hi, I'm David Steele. I live at 7121 Peach Orchard, and I am very much against this development. I find that it's obnoxious. It's too big. It's going to cause it'll impact the whole hillside east of the town core. The traffic, I've heard various numbers, 147 cars at the dinner hour, 2,000 cars a day. You line those all up, that's like a kilometer of vehicles. It's like a Kelowna. The development itself, I work in part with developers. I look at feasibility of developments and that sort of thing. And I haven't had the numbers presented to me, but I'm aware of what construction costs are. And I find it hard to think that this is going to be viable. I look at this and I say, I've talked to other developers about it as well, and they say, really? What are they doing? What are they thinking? There's no numbers that have been presented that it makes any sense. The amount of underground parking, you're looking at $35,000 cost to develop an underground parking stall. It's very expensive. I've seen other developments that have gone down in other communities. I talked to Uculit, talked to Colwood, different areas where they've had developers from out of town come in, big promises, the economy turns, a little blip, they're gone. The community's left with all the development cost charges outstanding. They're left with unfinished projects, things that are tied up legally for many years. It takes forever to clean up, get it off the books, to make it work. So without seeing a viability study on this development, I would be very, very cautious in giving any kind of approval. The road, $1 million for roads is nothing. That's the amount of damage, the amount of fill that's got to come out of there to build anything. You're talking about hundreds of dump trucks. It's not going to be, like somebody building a house down the street. This is going to go on. You're going to have dump trucks coming in and out of that site for probably 5 years. So the whole hillside is going to be disturbed by that activity. And then there's the ongoing construction, the nuisance of the construction, the 3 roads on the perimeter, Faircrest, Bristow, the other one, McDonald. Their life, it's over. They're never going to sit on their deck and drink coffee in the morning with all the construction going on there. It's a nightmare. And it's going to go on and on and on. And you have to stop it for the turbidity issue. Goes on longer. Another stoppage goes on longer. And it's very unsuited for the location. The size of the development is just far too big. You can go up and down the valley and try and find another 400 unit development in the South Okanagan, and there aren't any. You know, there's no developments that big in the South Okanagan, let alone in Summerland. So, you know, Kelowna, Penticton, all the way down to Sois, there are no developments that are that big. So it's out of place. It's completely out of place for Summerland. It's too big, and it just doesn't appear to me like it's going to be successful. Yeah, it's construction jobs. Anybody who's had trying to get anybody to work on your property or hire a contractor in the current economy, you can't find one. So it would be that the construction jobs would probably be from the developer's crew that he has working in Surrey or wherever he has his projects going. So the local construction jobs are probably going to be not that many, not as many as you might think. The development itself is exclusionary, it's compartmental, they're in a hole tucked down on the bottom of the sinkhole. It just doesn't seem to me that people are going to want to come to Summerland. My experience with people coming to Summerland are that they come for the rural aspect, the homes, acreage, and it just doesn't seem to me that it'll work. Thank you.
Your Worship, Mayor Waterman and Summerland Council, my name is Gary Denton. I live at Kendall Crescent in Penticton. I came here today because I just felt an overwhelming urge that I needed to come out and say something. I don't live in Summerland. I don't own property in Summerland. I have no business, no pecuniary interest at all. But I do feel like we're all in this together. And another reason I came because I've been following this in our local media and with people that we run into on the street, sphere of influence, for the last couple of years. And I've just gone through, still I'm going through, a similar situation in Penticton. That involved a water park being built on public land. It's quite different than here, but there are some similarities. And the similarity is that the opposition arose mainly due to being in the wrong place. The water slide may have had a market demand, and the proponent came out and suggested those people that were opposing it didn't like water slides, they didn't like kids. And the whole group opposing that development in the wrong place, that opposition was born not by people that are old and afraid of change. They don't like growth and development. They just didn't like the land use that was being proposed. I've made a few notes, but I didn't really know what I was going to say tonight, but I listened to a lot, and this is very respectful public hearing. I caution the council to dismiss the opposition to this development as a vocal minority. Those that are afraid of change and growth. I submit that this opposition is not born out of fear, as was suggested a couple of times tonight. Those opposed to Banks Crescent development are not opposed to development, they are opposed to the location. And this isn't about the developer. The developer has the obvious motivation of profits. That's what they're there for. They'd like to maximize it. I don't know why or what the history is, how they were drawn to that site, but I suspect cheap land for property not zoned for multifamily and a lake view. It's not this council or any municipal government's role to tell a business or a developer that there's no need for you. But one of the primary responsibilities of any council is to tell those developers and businesses where you can do business in my community, in our community. And for Summerland, this council is the temporary stewards of the land within Summerland. And that's what a council needs to do, is to look carefully at their land, decide what's appropriate for those places, and that's what you've got zoning for, and urban land planners. If the developer says what's the only land available, I don't buy it. That there's enough land in Summerland and probably more suitable development with more infrastructure in place, less uncertainties of technical problems and finances. And that if it's not available, you have good professionals available to you, urban land planners, either on staff or by consultants, and that's how you can do your tweaking of your community plans and your zoning in order that you can encourage these businesses to establish themselves here. And whether it's market, what's the yellow light for?
What, 1 minute warning?
Okay, whether it's market condos or senior living, if there's a market, a developer will come here and come. And if Lark doesn't build here, it doesn't have to be one or the other. There'll be another developer. There's been a lot of talk about this is a very valuable service. Well, it is too. I mean, we all have relatives that are in need of this type of service, but it doesn't need to be one or the other. You can turn this development down and get the development somewhere else without endangering what everyone's concerned about here. Change in their community that's not desirable. I think that's what I wanted to say, and good luck with your decision. It might be, these are the decisions that you make that determine your term as councillors and what you leave the community that you came to serve. It's your legacy. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and councillors, guests, and ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lorinda Doran. I live at 5703 Gartrell Road. I read an editorial stating that the Larks Group would have the units priced competitively. And I still haven't seen any sort of figures published, and it would be interesting to see what they think competitive units would go for, especially when a lot of our elders have an income of about $900. Would they be able to, would this be affordable housing for them? And I thought the whole concept of everyone saying, great, we've got a place for seniors, is to make it affordable for our seniors. And it doesn't sound like it is. But the feeling of dread I have is got nothing to do with the cost of units. It's technology. I mean, all these specialists that are giving us all these reports, they probably have, say, 50 years experience. And I'll be gracious, maybe they've got 100 years experience. But our Earth has taken thousands of years to develop its own system of water. And we're jeopardizing that. The fish hatchery, what, gives a million babies to 300 lakes in the Okanagan. And if they're part of the Freshwater Fisheries Society, they have, let me see, I've got the stats here. I can't remember how many fish, but they stock 800 lakes in BC. I don't think it's just being negligent allowing anything that could disturb our hatchery, not to mention the quality of life to those poor residents who have the unfortunate, what's the word I'm looking for? The unfortunate belief in believing of our community plan. And I think if this proposal goes through, council and mayor are letting down the people of Summerland. And it will put Summerland on the map if it goes sideways. Thank you. Hi, my name is Virginia Smith, and I'm not a NIMBY. I live up here in the upper town. I'm also a retired fisher person, and I'm extremely aware of our trout hatchery here in Summerland, but that has been beaten to death, so I won't say any more about it, except that it is important that we don't build there to disturb our water supply for the fish hatchery. But anyway, I live uptown here, so I'm able to walk to all the amenities, and I think that's just great because I'm an environmentalist. I don't like to use my car unless I have to, but these people living down in that gulch there are not going to be walking uptown to buy their groceries or go to the swimming pool or the drugstore or any of these places in town, are they? They're going to have transportation. And I just think it's in a bad place. I don't think it's the right place. Look at all the land we have at our disposal. What about all that land where the library used to be and all across from the park? Beautiful spot. All the infrastructure's there, and nice flat walkable land for streets and sidewalks, and for the elderly. They're supposed to be living in these places. You know, that's where they should be building. And I got a hunch I know why they're not building there and why they're building down in Grimy Gulch or whatever it's called. You know, it's money, right? They don't want to spend the money to build somewhere where it would be a lot nicer for the elderly people in town to live. All they care about, you know, so what? So there's a little view of the lake. Who's going to see that after you've been there for how many months? Nobody even notices it anymore. Because I've lived where there's a view and I know. But anyway, I just think it's the wrong place. I'm not against development. I would love to see that development go across from our park here in town, or anywhere else where it's handy to all the amenities that Summerland has, and not have to jump in your car and go to Penticton, or even just jump in your car and just get uptown to buy your groceries, or go to the swimming pool. It's just the wrong place, you know, and that's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ashley Justin. I live 8200 Princeton Summerland Road in Falder. I've lived there for 6 years. I moved here from Surrey Central in 2000, I had to write it down, 2010, I believe. I worked in the film industry there for 11 years, right from high school until the day I moved. I moved here to get away from the city. I lived on 132nd Street and 108, right by the SkyTrain, heavy traffic. Even those roads could stand it, but eventually the people left, and it changed the economy. It became a real slum area. People could get away with break-ins, smashing windows, and all sorts of stuff without any neighbors even complaining, because they didn't even hear it. No dogs barking, nobody cared. It was like a zombie dead zone. And but we bought there. We knew that was the only place we could afford. It was about $120,000 back in 2000, which was a killer amount of money for someone as young as I am. But we sold it and made some money and bought a beautiful acreage out in Falder. Shortly after, my mother, who was in assisted living in White Rock, decided that there was no one there to stay with and who could take care of her as well as I could. So she moved out to Summerland on a waiting list and finally found a place in Parkdale Lodge for an affordable amount of money, which was a very long wait. We couldn't stand each other. It was a long time to live with my mother, or have her live with me. She's here today. I don't want to look behind me. So she found a place in Summerland that was affordable, I think a couple $100 more than she was paying in White Rock, which was good news. After that, this was last year, my husband's mother's roof blew off her apartment building in Red Deer, so she had to move in with us suddenly. She lives with us now, can barely pay. She barely makes enough money. Her medicine is about $600 a month and her income is about $900. So she's a disability, she needs a scooter, she needs 100% transportation, she needs help bathing. Our whole house is set up for wheelchair and everything. Not even a month ago, well, gosh, we're already in February. On Halloween, I located my grandmother, who was a missing person for 2 years in northern Vancouver Island. Found her in a basement suite with all of her money taken from her, and there was no care for her at all. So I had to scoop her up and put her in my house too, and now I'm 24-hour caregiver for a very severely dementia 87-year-old wonderful woman. So now I have 2 disabled people living with me in my house in Summerland. They are both on waiting lists. BC Housing, a 2.5-year waiting list for my mother-in-law, who's in her 70s. And then she has listed many letters trying to get a place to live, even saying that she's homeless. When she was in Red Deer, she was doing her best to find a place in Summerland to be with her kids, and without avail. So she hasn't found a place, and every place that she's called says there's many vacancies in Summerland, but they're $4,000 a month or more. So between me, my husband, her son and her daughter, we still couldn't pool enough money together for her to afford one of those places. So she still lives with us. As for my other lovely grandmother, she requires 24-hour care in a locked facility, and that is over $4,000 to $6,000 a month, which between her daughter and her son and me and all of her family put together, we still can't even pay for that. So currently she is living with us for nothing, with no savings and no home to sell, nothing. So I don't know where to turn. We need more affordable housing for seniors. Clearly affordable housing for seniors. I've got 2 of them living with me right now, and I don't see the wait list ending in the next 3 years, 5 years. I just don't see a future in that. We might have to send them back to Red Deer or on the island. I don't know. I just feel hopeless. Thank you.
As far as I know right now, we have 4 speakers left. And so is there anybody else who wants to be on the speakers list that is not, that avail themselves of that? Because we have the 4 speakers. 6 left? Okay, I don't have. Okay, we have 6 speakers left, and that's not going to be quite, we'll see how the time goes, but it's going to be close. So we'll just proceed as we are.
Mayor Wadman?
Yes?
If anyone does want to speak, they would come here to Karen and she would sign them up here.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, community members. I came to this meeting tonight not planning to speak, so I'm going to try to be as clear as possible. I felt compelled to in sitting in the group here. I do know a couple of the members of the LARC group, however, I am in no way affiliated with them. I'm not going to spend a great deal of time about the legalities, the this, the that, because I do respect the concerns of the citizens that actually live in Summerland. I live at 6271 Renfrew Road in Peachland, BC. I am a new community member to this area. I am fortunate to live in this area. I am employed in Summerland as of recently. Why do I not live in Summerland? I couldn't find any place to live in Summerland. There's a very small amount of housing available. Is this project going to change that in the next little bit? No, it's gonna take some time, but I would love to be a community member in this community. I'm having a hard time sitting and listening to some of the speakers talk. My mom served on municipal council for 3.5 terms back in Saskatchewan. I don't believe in public people threatening council members and mayors on futuristic votes to get their point across. I think people just need to speak to their opinion and their concerns. I have personally worked for Golder Associates, which I am aware that they did an independent study from the Summerland district. A lot of the opposition is stating, you know, these reports, what do they mean? These people don't know anything. In working in the environmental field and working for Golder Associates for quite a few years, these professional geotechnical engineers, professional scientists, professional land people do not take their designation lightly. If they put their stamp of approval on a report, they are liable for their findings in that report. And I knew them very well and produced many of those reports. I also worked for Home and Community Care for the Northern Health Authority in Fort St. John, BC. I have very vast knowledge in the need for seniors housing, the crisis that it brings families when there is a lack of housing and assistance for them. Again, that was Northern Health Authority in Fort St. John, BC, but I even went so far as to be the assistant, the EA to the regional director for the Northeast Health Services Division. And during her employment there, we built and from design to implementation, a assisted living facility. So I've seen everything. I'm also, you know, a child that has aging parents. And it's tough. My mom would love to live in Summerland as a retirement place. My concern sitting here, I've done some research because I am interested in the issues surrounding my community, and I consider Summerland a part of my community. So I have read a lot on this project. To the opposition, or not to them, I can't talk to them, but to you guys, what I don't understand is as these people age, where are they going to go? So yes, they are throwing out futuristically, you know, affordable housing and so on and so forth, but there isn't that available here. The LARC group is coming up with ideas for some of those issues of the housing. All of those seniors that could potentially move into this complex are going to free up housing for people like myself that would love nothing more than to be a member of this community that at the current time cannot. The place of employment where I work right now, there was a lady that actually had to quit her employment because she could not find housing in Summerland. That's unfortunate. Young people bring money to your community, and in order to bring young people to your community, you have to open up more housing for them. In closing, the community, everybody standing here saying they voted for you, you need to stand up for the citizens. You also need to stand up for the 75% that aren't opposed.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Myron Dirks. I reside at 14185 Real Place in Surrey, BC. There are a few points I'd like to comment on this evening. First one being the hatchery. The hatchery will be protected by an aquifer protection plan. This plan was reviewed by a District of Summerland provided consultant, which is a Golder Associates. The hatchery is a user of the natural occurrence spring and will not be the owner of that water supply. Their concerns surrounding turbidity and in the afternoon public hearing was also stated that the low risk to the vibration-induced turbidity was based on large compaction machines. A smaller machine could be used in the unlikely circumstance where excuse me, increased construction-related turbidity occurs. Self-compact and fill materials are also available to be imported onto the site if required. 3 engineers have concluded that there's a low risk to the aquifer. The District of Summerland went out and hired an independent consultant that confirmed the findings, but also made several other recommendations which the LARC group agreed to implement. Turbidity. The period of time which turbidity is a concern will be between 8 and 12 weeks, of which compaction will be utilized. Vibration-induced turbidity is a low risk during the times of compaction. Turbidity already occurs naturally in the spring. It's also affected by wildlife in that area, as the FFSPC provided to the Golder report. According to the Golder report, these turbidity events lost a matter of hours and cleared themselves naturally. Pito and Associates have stated that an aquifer is self-healing. The hatchery's concerns for turbidity events that are the hatchery's concerns are for the turbidity events that are lasting longer. Turbidity is low risk, and the length of time where vibration machines are going to be used are a short period of time, estimated between 2 and 4 months. Projects have been successfully built throughout the province next to streams and rivers that have risks to water and fish. Every builder is required to mitigate these risks before, during, and after the project development. Speaking towards soil stability, every construction and development project includes soil stability concerns in one form or another. A geotechnical engineer will be involved in the process to ensure the soil stability is not put at risk during the short excavation and backfill period. The geotechnical engineer has already provided a soil stability report to the district, indicating that there are low risks and all soil stability concerns will be addressed as construction proceeds. The soil composition and bearing requirements are clearly shown in the geotechnical report, which also include data that is based on actual site samples and not opinion-based assessments. Every project that I've been involved in requires a geotech report to be provided prior to the structural design. This job's not going to be any different. I ask that you consider the data that has been provided and that is based on site samples from consultants who are trained specifically in that area of geotechnical and hydrogeology. My last point is a build-in design, which people have indicated to us is very important to them. The LARC group will be implementing sustainable build-in methods, including energy-efficient lighting and fixtures in their design. In closing, I'm proud to state my support for the project. The project will have positive, lasting effects within the community and will allow for those who reside in the community to avoid having to leave the community to find suitable levels of health care now and in the future. Thank you.
Mayor, council, staff, and attendees. My name is Olivia Chang, and I live in North Vancouver. I currently represent St. Elizabeth in British Columbia. We're very excited to partner with the LARC group on this project, where we will be providing the operations and care services. St. Elizabeth is a not-for-profit charity with over 9,000 employees across the country and over 50 million visits over the last 10 years. We have over 500 partnerships, including First Nations communities and other organizations across all provinces and territories. We bring 110 years of experience in care to this project, and this particular project will include, I think a number of people have already mentioned this, an age-in-place model. So whether it be in market housing, or rental housing, or independent or assisted living, complex care, or even within the community of Summerland as a whole, we would be able to provide all healthcare services. Our care model is built around a person, family-centered care model, where people have a choice as to where they live, how they live, when they get the care. And as part of this model, we would also have a wellness center staffed with therapists, which again is not just for the residents of ICASA, but also for the residents of Summerland. We do use technology, that is true. The technology is used as a tool to help our staff to enhance the delivery of care and to ensure the access of up-to-date best practices, and also connecting with specialists across the country. Our philosophy is to bring healthcare to people whenever, wherever, and however they want it. It's their choice. So again, this is not just for the residents of ICASA, but to the Summerland community as a whole. Thank you very much for letting me speak.
Mayor, councilors and attendees, thanks for letting me speak. My name's Trevor Massey. I'm from Surrey, BC. I'm currently the operations manager for the construction side of LARC. I oversee all aspects of the construction. And you know, sitting here today through the morning session or the early afternoon session, you know, I've heard a considerable amount of discussion regarding the hatchery and the potential low risk of the aquifer disturbance and the possible turbidity that could be present. And I wanted to weigh in on past experiences and understandings of our dealings with fisheries and stuff. This isn't our first rodeo with this per se. Like we've been through this before, maybe not this exact thing. There is no exact same cookie cutter from one project to another in any development. Like all projects, you know, there are challenges. LARC's 45 years of track record is on display here without incidents. You know, proper consultation with professionals, experts, geotechs, engineers, and the construction sides, proper quality assurance and quality control plans are what makes our development successful. LARC has worked closely with fisheries, municipalities, government agencies to ensure successful implementation related to red-flagged fish-bearing streams in the past. One recent successful project in particular was a 4-story with parkade BC housing addiction residence at the edge of a steep bank and at the bottom of a red-flagged fish-bearing stream. This project resembles distinct similarities here. Another important successful project is where LARC temporarily diverted and then reinstated at the end of the project another red flag fish-bearing stream for the government of Canada while completing the Aldergrove border expansion, the US-Canada border. In both the aforementioned projects, it was just as important to the government of Canada, to BC Housing, to LARC, the municipalities, to execute our construction activities, our quality assurance, our quality control plans, and ensure zero ecological impact related to the banks, the streams, and most importantly, the fish. This project is no different. LARC commits to the necessary quality assurance plans that will address the low risk of turbidity and guarantee the project will not cause turbidity and will not be an issue to the hatchery, and that it remains successful as much as we are committed to the healthy seniors living along with our brilliant care provider partners, St. Elizabeth. Next.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Council, and everyone here, all the attendees. My name is Adonica Sweet, and I live at 11014 Ellis Avenue here in Summerland. First of all, I would really like to thank council and everyone here for listening. I believe that council is hearing all the ideas, all the new ideas in particular that have been presented this evening. I don't know exactly how many of them there have been, but I thank you. I also believe that LARC is listening and that they may adjust some of their plans to meet some of Summerland's needs. I certainly hope that that's an added benefit to having this public hearing. You do have a tough decision to make, and there are risks in all decisions, including if we don't move forward with this. I do believe that growth and development is important to a small community, and I'm not a fan of actually having a resort like this built in the downtown core. I believe that location is absolutely crucial, and I love our downtown core. It really has that small town community, wonderful feeling where we can walk down the street and say hi and smile to each other. And I think having a huge complex in the middle of downtown would really take away from that. So I'm totally in support of it being by the water. I do know that it will increase the market value of the condos, so maybe it's not targeted, those particular places are not targeted to all of Summerland residents. We already have our places to live. And seniors who choose to move there will move there if they can afford it, just like will move to other places if they can afford it. I certainly do hope that the prices are reasonable though, so that more people can take advantage of that who actually live here in Summerland. So I've kind of gotten a little bit off track here, but I also love the idea of being able to live in a place where I can stay as I get older or if I become disabled. Currently I live in my own house here in Summerland, and if I became disabled, I would have to renovate in order to actually to be able to stay there. So being able to age in place, I think, is a very awesome idea, and having the support there. Sustainability is really important to me, and I know that there are ways to protect the environment while developing, and I believe that that research has been done, and I believe if council sees fit, you'll require them to do more, and they will do what they need to do. And if it's not deemed something that is great for Summerland, that they won't support that, and they won't continue. I also understand that LARC has some LEED Gold buildings in their history of building, and I hope that they will certainly consider the same sort of building requirements here as well. Sustainability is also important to the District of Summerland, and yeah, so I trust the council is weighing all the factors and will make the best decision for Summerland, the whole District of Summerland. So again, I thank you all.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm a little nervous. I wasn't preparing to speak tonight. My name is Julie Zimmerman. I live at 5507 Solly Road. And I lived here for almost 7 years. I escaped the rat race as well, like many people. And I came here because of what the logo looks like. That's why I came here. Land and sea. Are we okay? Okay. Okay. And so we moved here because of what Summerland is. And we looked around us, and we're all for growth and development. It's vital. I understand that. And the traffic already on my street on Solly Road is crazy. To know that it will go up 40 times, I wonder if you would like that. I don't think so. When family and company come to visit us, they always comment about what such a busy road it is. Yeah, just wait. Just wait. It's so busy. Well, I'll just back up a bit. My husband and I are both working professionals here. We have a business as well. We brought our 2-year-old, and since then we've added on to our family. This was supposed to be our forever place. We love it here. The traffic is so bad on Solly Road already. I had to beg and plead for a traffic mirror to be put on Solly Road by Fisher Close there because I couldn't get my stroller across from my driveway across Solly Road without knowing something was coming. Because the hairpin is so dangerous. We got a mirror. When I talked to council, somebody from the council, I was told that there was no room for a sidewalk on Solly Road. And now you're talking about a collector road. I'm just wondering where this magic space is coming from. Since we bought our house, our land has shifted and our land has dropped a foot. We had the front of our house landscaped and the bulldozer got stuck and had to be dug out. It is all sand and silt. The front of our property is all eroding onto Solly Road. And we're one house. There's one house at a time being built here and there, and we get that, and we love that, we have great neighbors. One house being built at a time does affect the traffic, and that's one house. What would this proposal do? I can't even imagine. I worry what has happened in Vancouver is going to happen here. People are moving away from the rat race, and we're just taking it up, and that's what it seems like. And we don't want that. About the people that have opposed this development, thank you to the people who garnered that support, those signatures. Last Friday I was at a local drugstore and I was quite disappointed to see the other side garnering support. Felt more like pestering while people were filling their prescriptions. The eye rolling and the shaking of the head when that person had passed makes me wonder how much of that support and those signatures were garnered under pressure. My heart is beating. I can't even tell you how fast because I feel so strong about this. I also have a true passion for healthcare. I've been a registered nurse for 20 years. I've worked in 2 countries and 3 provinces, and I would love to sit down with you and discuss a different philosophy. I love Summerland, and I want to stay here, and I want to raise my family here, and I want to watch my kids raise their family here. But I don't like what's happening. I didn't think we'd still be here almost 2 years later. Every Monday, my husband's putting my kids to bed, so I can be here every Monday. I thought when you said if the fisheries, the hatchery wasn't on board, it was the end. But it's not. Here we are. We've lost sight. I ask you, look at the logo again and remember what the OCP is and what we want Summerland to look like. Not a spill out from Surrey and Vancouver. Thank you.
If there are any last speakers, you can sign up right now. We have a few minutes left. Looks like we're okay. Looks like we've got no additional speakers, so now I would like to declare this public hearing terminated. All written submissions received tonight will be distributed to council for their consideration. Council must not receive any further new information. A council meeting will be held tomorrow, Tuesday, February 6th at 6:30 p.m. here in the arena in this banquet room for the purpose of considering a third reading of the OCP amendments and zoning amendment for 131610 Banks Crescent. Thank you.